Hello everyone, it's nice to meet you again with the Disney Artist channel. In today's video it will be the character Titus the caterpillar from the movie Hoppers. Titus, also known as Insect King and formerly Insect Prince, is the main antagonist of the 2026 Disney Pixar animated film Hoppers. He is the son of the Insect Queen who, after his mother's untimely death, assumes her throne and enacts a plan to lead a genocidal revolution against humans, and eventually his other fellow monarchs and animals in general, with intent to create a world where insects reign supreme over all other species. Titus is the demanding, spoiled spawn of the Insect Queen, squish-thirsty and hungry for power. It's best to stay out of his way while he transforms into an even more entitled version of himself, the Insect King. Titus is deeply misanthropic, immature, manic, and cruel. As a young caterpillar, he initially comes off as a mere brat, acting arrogant, selfish and disrespectful towards others, including his own mother, but immediately after assuming her crown when she is killed, Titus' personality takes an even darker turn, becoming extremely murderous, cruel, psychotic, sadistic, vengeful and bloodthirsty, desiring to squish all humans as well as other animals. Simply, he is just sadistic and wants to rule the world. A very power-hungry and entitled megalomaniac who seeks establish invertebrates, including insects and other arthropods, as the dominant species, ruling over both humans and vertebrates in retaliation for the countless times insects have been crushed or eaten. Titus is petty and controlling. Unlike Mayor Jerry Generoso, who in spite of his greed, does have some redeeming and affable qualities, such as his love for his mother. Titus, who seemed initially shocked at his mother's death and Mabel Tanaka assumed he was evil because of her death, never loved his mother and openly admits that he had long awaited her death so he could seize control, using her demise merely as a convenient justification to pursue his ambitions. He also despises anything he perceives as weak, such as his mother for being old. Despite her being just as vicious as her son, if not more so, his other fellow monarchs' condolences to him for the recent passing of his mother, immediately laughing and telling them to spare him their pity, and even rejecting his own butterfly body for being small, preferring the much bigger robot replica body of Jerry he briefly took control of. Even as a child caterpillar, he also proves himself to be quite manipulative and treacherous, as he fakes an alliance with the other animal monarchs with the intention of betraying and eliminating them once they have served their purpose. This ultimately reveals that Titus has no real concern for the balance of nature or the well-being of others, as the insects once he dies immediately rally behind the new Insect King, an ant. His actions are driven solely by his own ruthless ambition and desire for absolute power. Titus is first seen alongside his mother when Mabel Tanaka and Mammal King George convene a meeting of the Animal Council in the Super Lodge, attended by delegates from various species, consisting of the insect, amphibian, fish, reptile and bird monarchs. The other rulers initially refuse to do anything, with Titus demanding his mother to immediately return him home, as they feel that they can do nothing to stop the humans from doing as they please. When Mabel presents the leftover remnants of the sound tree that she had just destroyed, she explains that soon they will not have any land left as the humans, led by the Human King, Jerry, will soon move in and take over their land. Though Titus, offended by her tone of voice, derisively calls her a web-footed commoner, in response, the rest of the council suddenly become frightened and agree that they must act. However, when the Insect Queen suggests that they squish the humans, with Titus viciously voicing support for the idea, Mabel realizes that she has gone too far and suggests only scaring them. as the insect queen becomes furious and scolds Mabel for her cowardice. Titus cruelly laughs as he watches only to be struck speechless and in shock alongside the rest of the council when Mabel accidentally squishes his mother to death while trying to defend herself. This prompts Titus to order Mabel and George squished, resulting in the other monarchs and their armies to pursue the two beavers as they flee the superlodge, only to lose them when they jump off the ledge of a cliff. The animals reconvene back at the superlodge and express their horror that two of their monarchs are now gone, not knowing that George had survived the fall alongside Mabel, and humans are now impersonating them. The council then falls into a panicked frenzy until Titus loudly demands silence, briefly feigning sorrow for his mother's death. An overjoyed and opportunistic Titus takes over as the Insect King and announces his intention to kill Jerry to the other council members. He then undergoes metamorphosis, much to the other animals' disgust upon witnessing it. Now under Titus' leadership, the council sends a large flock of seagulls to assassinate Jerry just as he is driving on a coastal highway to the glade under Mabel's direction. The flock catches up to his car and dives into the ocean to lift and drop a shark named Diane onto the car in an attempt to kill him, causing it to crash. After eluding Diane, Mabel tries to convince Jerry to abandon his Beltway plan to appease the council to call off the attack, but when Jerry still refuses, Mabel, in a blind fury, loudly screams out Jerry's location to the animals in pursuit. Before she can threaten Jerry any further, Sam and the other scientists arrive, capture Mabel and untether her from the robotic beaver, leaving George heartbroken as he cradles the lifeless robot. The council then arrives and captures Jerry, Mabel, and the scientists and force them to take them to Sam's lab. When they arrive, the council then raids the lab, tie up Jerry and Mabel, and force the scientists to build a robotic clone of Jerry for Titus, who promptly emerges from his cocoon as a fully evolved butterfly, to inhabit. Now in control of the robot, Titus reveals his plan to Mabel, Jerry and the scientists to impersonate Jerry and use the audio frequencies of the noise-emitting trees at a political rally to gruesomely murder the humans in attendance. Mabel begs Titus to abandon this plan, as she and the other humans are not as selfish and greedy as Jerry, but Titus refuses and simply compares her to Jerry, pointing out that they had both deceived the animals for their own ends before bringing out George, still heartbroken upon learning Mabel's secret, to illustrate his point. Mabel tries to explain, but George is in no mood to listen and Titus mocks her with this before leaving with George and the other monarchs for the rally, leaving Mabel disheartened and guilt-ridden. At the rally, Titus gathers the humans together and after giving an uncomfortable speech is about to enact his plan, only for a renewed Mabel to come and try to reason with him, even apologizing for squishing his mother, much to the shock and confusion of the audience upon hearing her apology. Titus, seemingly taken aback by this, admits that he felt powerless when it happened, and Mabel likewise admits that she felt the same way and that it caused her to make mistakes of her own, but tells him that it's not too late to change and that humans and animals can still coexist. George hears this and is touched, and Titus appears to break down in grief only to suddenly burst into derisive laughter and mock her speech. With no other choice, Mabel initiates a backup plan in which Jerry, in the beaver robot, the scientists and several of the other animals had placed the docker under the distracted Titus and activate it, shutting down the Jerry hopper and ejecting Titus. George attempts to block the maniacal butterfly from re-entering the hopper but is restrained by the council on Titus' orders. At the same time, Mabel tries to evacuate the audience and take Jerry's remote while the Jerry robot is still inactive, but it reactivates when Titus retakes control, and he and Mabel fight over the control, which ends up getting flung to the top of one of the sound trees. Titus and Mabel then race each other up the tree to reach the phone. Jerry tries to stop Titus but is swatted aside by him into a lamppost, where the beaver robot explodes and ejects Jerry. In the scuffle, Mabel accidentally rips Titus' silicone mask off, revealing his robotic face that frightens Mabel off the tree. Despite reaching the phone first, Titus is unable to carry out his plan when the phone's facial recognition fails to recognize him without his mask and locks him out completely, causing him to destroy the phone in utter frustration. Mabel again yells to him to stop, but Titus still refuses, begins furiously tearing at the sound tree, and, in his rage, yells out his true intention to wipe out not just the humans but the vertebrates as well, causing the rest of the council to become disillusioned with his conquest. His manic shaking loosens the base of the sound tree, and it collapses with the Jerry hopper on it, causing the robot body to explode after it is crushed by the tree, ignite a wildfire, and eject Titus once again. George rushes off to help Mabel, leaving the other monarchs to feel guilty for everything that had just transpired due to their actions while under Titus' manipulation. Titus, however, lashes out at the council for ignoring him and viciously declares to burn the whole world for insect kind, but the amphibian king, having had enough of Titus' rants, treachery and monstrous nature, swiftly and ultimately eats him before making a brief satisfied smile. Following Titus' death, an ant is crowned as the new ruler of the insects. He is the second Pixar main villain to be an insect after Hopper, who is the main antagonist from A Bug's Life. The main difference between the two is that Hopper loved his mother, which is where he promised on her death that he wouldn't kill Molt, while Titus outright admitted he didn't care and that he waited for his mother to die so that he can take her place. Titus's demise is notably similar to Hopper's death, as both villains are eaten by predators in a Pixar feature film. Titus, Insect King, was devoured by the Amphibian King, while Hopper was fed by a bird to her baby chicks. Also, his demise notably similar to Scar, as both villains are betrayed by their henchmen and eaten by animals. Titus, Insect King, was planning to not just wipe out the humans, but the other animals' races as well, causing the rest of the council to feel betrayed by his conquest and devoured by the Amphibian King, while Scar was betrayed his hyena minions, including Shenzi, Banzai, and Ed, and killed him, who jumped on him and mauled him to death. At last, his demise notably similar to Syndrome, as both are killed from being pulled at their back by something. The jet engine for Syndrome and the Amphibian King for Titus. Notably, both Hopper, Syndrome and Titus have been called out for being uniquely evil among Pixar villains, and also Scar is a Walt Disney Animation Studios villain. He is the sixth Pixar villain to die after Hopper, Syndrome, Charles Muntz, Mordu, and Ernesto de la Cruz, who died twice. He is the eighth Pixar main antagonist to not be a twist villain and be revealed early on as a villain after Hopper, Randall Boggs, Syndrome, Chef Skinner, Mordu, and Lord Gregon. He is the second Pixar main villain to be small and of short stature after Chef Skinner. Furthermore, Titus is an insect, while Chef Skinner is a small man. This could mean that Titus is much smaller than Chief Skinner. This makes Titus the smallest villain ever created by Pixar, largely due to his microscopic size. Titus' caterpillar design has some similarities with Heimlich or Glorden. The name Titus is derived from the Roman emperor of the same name, and the insects that is his people may echo the supremacy of the Roman Empire. Ironically, his name means honorable, when Titus is anything but honorable. This may have been intentional, making his name a paradox. In spite of the film's true main antagonist, he is listed far below Jerry in the end credits. Additionally, despite being addressed Titus by name, he is never referred to as his real name there. Instead, he was separately listed as Insect King and Insect Prince. Titus' metamorphosis is inaccurate to how long it actually takes a caterpillar to form into a pupa. In the movie, it is shown that Titus pupated within a matter of seconds and turns into a butterfly by the end of one day. But real monarch butterfly caterpillars take approximately 2 to 4 weeks to pupate and eventually form into a butterfly. Strangely enough, even though he never mentions about fish, the fish queen still reacted with much shock to his treacherous breakdown, implying that she knows Titus will still plan to exterminate her own kind if he ever succeeds in squishing humanity as a whole. Monarch butterflies do not have teeth in real life, even though Titus and his mom are shown to have them in the movie. Instead, they have what is called proboscises. Titus performed all the 7 deadly sins: pride, being born in royalty. Titus put himself above everyone else, including his mother, and viewing them as expendable. Greed. His goal was to become the overlord of all species, as well as stealing drive. Sam's ideas of her Hopper's invention and Jerry's identity to commit genocide to the humans and vertebrates. Sloth. He manipulated the Animal Council into doing most of his own dirty work, such as when he was a pupa, to which he couldn't do anything, and the other monarchs hiring Diane Shark to squish Jerry, and ditched them with no hesitation once they're out of use. Wrath. He's very short-tempered, and gets angry very easily every time something went wrong or don't go his way, including letting the wildfire burn down both the glade and the city out of pettiness. Envy. His main motivation was his jealousy over humans and vertebrates' dominion all over the world and wanting to take his mother's place as leader of the insect species. Also, one of the reasons he created a robotic clone of Jerry to hop in was because he found his butterfly body as extremely weak and small, heavily implying he was ungrateful for the life he had as an insect. Gluttony, even during a meeting with the Animal Council. He couldn't stop munching on leaves and was shown to be overweight as a caterpillar. He also has a huge hunger for squishing humans after becoming king and creates a robot clone of Jerry to enhance his strength while controlling it. Lust, he crawls over his mother's total power, to the points he wished for her to die just to get her powers for himself. In addition, he's extremely sadistic, especially towards humans. Many fans considered him the first truly evil Pixar main antagonist since Ernesto de la Cruz. Interestingly, both men encompass the studio's first 4 female primary antagonists, all of whom have softened portrayals. Evelyn DeVore's plan to convince society that supers aren't needed anymore is stemmed from the loss of her parents' lives, and she still cared for her brother Winston, despite their otherwise ideological differences. Gabby's desire to experience toy ownership for the first time in her life, even through desperate means, is rooted from the fact that she experiences severe autophobia while living inside the Second Chance Antiques store. Ming Li's over-excessive parenting towards her daughter, Mei, is actually because she herself suffers from generational trauma for her red panda heritage, as well as her complex relations with her mother, Grandma Wu. Anxiety's preparing what she thinks is best for Riley Anderson's future, but the reality behind it is that she's pressuring herself into perfectionism as an emotion. Ironically, his fellow 2026 Pixar main antagonist, Lilypad, was instead portrayed much more softly than he does, as her primary goal is to give Bonnie Anderson the friendship she so deserves. Even through technological extremes. Even more ironic, Lily herself is physically modeled after a frog, the exact same species that killed him. Monarch butterflies do not have any sort of social hierarchy in real life, and the only insects with leaders are ants, termites, and bees, making Titus and his mother's leadership highly inaccurate to science. However, this could be an attempt to make a pun, as Titus and his mother are monarch butterflies. First is to draw the body of the caterpillar, then make the pattern on the back for Titus the caterpillar. Next is to draw 2 arms, then draw the tail for Titus the caterpillar. Finally is to draw the head of the caterpillar, then make the face and attach the antenna on the head for Titus the caterpillar. So the character Titus the caterpillar from the movie Hoppers has been completed. Now, if you like this video tutorial, please remember hit the like and subscribe button to receive the new notify. At the same time, please download the app and go to the website DisneyStore to shopping online, as well as Disney Plus to watch some movies and TV shows for free, used by many peoples of the world. Okay, we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for watching and goodbye everyone. Across the